Mr. Leon Perera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I believe my colleague, Professor Jamus has a clarification as well. I just want to ask the Honourable Member, Mr. Sitoh Yih Pin, he said that some of our proposals are analgesic and anaesthetic and so on. If that's the case, would the Honourable Member agree that the support package is also an anaesthetic and it's better to have pain, no gain? That's my question. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member, Mr. Leon Perera, for his question. I don't see how the support packages can be no pain. The support packages are meant to help our fellow citizens to get over this period. I noticed the Workers' Party kept saying, you are trying to fan the inflation. Yes, I think the government is implementing the GST in these difficult inflationary times. But please bear in mind that GST is also a consumption tax in the sense that it is charged when you spend. So I think the assurance package, the GST voucher, is meant to help Singaporeans. I don't see his point that it is meant to be no pain at all. I'm sorry, I missed your point. Thank you.
Mr. Perera.
Member for his reply. My point is that if I understood his speech correctly, he's saying that measures to ameliorate the negative impact of GST on the population are in a way sort of kicking the can down the road or somehow dishonest because actually the population should feel the pain and we shouldn't try to take measures that are alternatives to that, even though there are viable alternatives that we believe, which we have put forward as proposals relating to NIR, relating to land sales, for example. We shouldn't take that route, and rather we should allow the population to experience more pain. And that's what I understood what the member was saying. And so in that light, I would like to ask him whether some of the ameliorating measures that the government has proposed would also fall into the same category.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think Mr. Perera is putting very serious words into my mouth. What I'm saying is that we are all going through difficult times. I did not say the assistance packages are not helpful. In fact, I think they are very helpful and the government is targeting it at the people who need it most. I did not say we deserve to go through this pain, but what I'm saying is that in these turbulent times of calamity, we have to bond together as a nation, and we have to go through this together. 同甘共苦的精神, if he knows what I mean.
Associate Professor Jamus.
Thank you, Speaker. I always thought that academics were the only ones to conceive of unrealistic scenarios, but I was somewhat shocked to hear Member Sitoh say that there's no such thing as oversaving. If we take this argument to his own logical extreme, why don't we simply just lower our NRIC ceiling to 0% and not tap on NIRC at all? Let me put it another way. If we think that there's no such thing as oversaving, is he saying that the government of 2008, having tapped on a lower percentage, actually undersaved? And if so, then in his own words, can he provide the empirically verifiable evidence that they in fact did so? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member, Mr. Jamus Lim, for his question. I think if you are to play the tape, I said, for a small country like Singapore, don't talk about oversaving. Right? I said for a small country like Singapore. I am reminded of 1997, when during the Asian financial crisis. Remember? The countries around us, their currencies all collapsed. In the summer of 1998, Hong Kong government, the SAR Hong Kong government, with the backing of Beijing, had to come in to defend the Hong Kong dollar and to defend the Hang Seng Index. So for a small country like Singapore, savings is a virtue, and we should continue to save. That's my point. Thank you.
Associate Professor Jamus.
Just a quick clarification. As far as I checked, in 2008, it was the same country of Singapore.
Mrs. Sitoh Yih Pin.
Mr. Speaker, sir, sorry, I don't get his point. What about 2008?
In 2008, as far as I believe, the government altered its NRIC contribution percentage. Now, we don't have, at least on the record, the specific shares. Our own calculations suggest that it went from somewhere in the order of 10% or 20% of the NIRC contribution up to the present rate of 50%. So I'm not talking about China here. I'm talking about Singapore. This PAP government, which was in power in Singapore at the time, in 2008, altered the NIRC share.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the issue here is not about the NIRC. As far as I know, the Workers' Party agrees with having the NIRC system, and so do I. It is a good system to have. But the question that they have posed is, should we have 50-50 or should we allow 60% to be used as expenditure? So I completely agree that the NIRC system is a good system. It is here to stay. For now, I think 50-50 is about right. It is fair. Mr. Leon Perera asked a question earlier after Mr. Liang Eng Hua's speech. And I think he asked about what if 50-50 is not enough. Well, we have a mechanism, right? If 50-50, if using 50% of NRIC is not enough, there is a mechanism for the government to tap on the reserves with the permission of the President. So I think our system works perfectly well. Thank you.
Mr. Leon Perera.
Mr. Speaker, so I just want to follow up on what Professor Jamus Lim, my colleague, asked. I think the question was really, if we heard you correctly, we heard the Honourable Member correctly in his speech, the Honourable Member said that there can be no such thing in theory, by definition, as oversaving for a small country like Singapore. Is that the member's position, or is that not the member's position?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I was responding to Mr. Jamus Lim's speech when he mentioned oversaving in his speech. And I say it again, for a small country like Singapore, with a limited population, with no natural resources, saving is a virtue. I don't think we should grouse about over-saving. Thank you.
Mr. Leon Perera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me some latitude here. I think the question has not been answered. My question to the Honourable Member, Mr. Sitoh Yih Pin, is do you or do you not believe that there can be such a thing as oversaving in theory for a small country like Singapore? It's a yes or no question.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thought I already answered Mr. Perera. I said for a small country like Singapore, savings must be a virtue, and as far as we can continue to save, not just for future generations, but for a rainy day. Then I'd like to pose it back to Mr. Leon Perera. Does he not think that there should be that savings should be a virtue, or does he think that we should stop saving now?